Hey, what's going on, Archons? We got two decks today. You know what that means? It's Would You Rather Worlds Collide time. And what I've decided is, if you are the winner this week, you get to choose which deck you would rather have. So that means that these decks will actually not be loaded into DOK at all. You'll have to look at it and analyze based on this video and decide as the winner which one you want. And then once you have, I'll scan them in and play them next Tuesday, or I guess this Tuesday. I'm filming this ahead of time in case you can't tell. So let's get on with it. Let's crack these open and see which decks you would rather have from these two. And let me know in the comments which deck you would rather have. That's the way we like to do this. A lot of things in this. Alright, so first up, deck A, we have Elder Z 3-Ra. And it is Brobnar, Untamed Shadows. Oh, well, I'm assuming no one's going to choose deck A. But maybe it will be the hotness that we all have not realized exists in Brobnar. I'm still praying for that god tier Brobnar Worlds Collide. I'm hoping I will come across it. You all know what it is. Triple Berserker Slam, Old Boomy, bunch of gangers, and a Legacy Drummernaut. No, that I actually do want that, but not realistically. What else do I want in there? A Volcano. Yep, I do want one Volcano. Lots of board control in my Brobnar Worlds Collide. That's dream. What else do I think I want? I want some shorties. I want some skulls. And here we have Larkin of Prior Hampton Wall. And it is, Brobnar as well, Saurian, and Dis. Ooh, deck B. Looking like the spice here, but both have Brobnar, which honestly, with Would You Rather, I would, if there's going to be Brobnar in this World Collide, I would like both decks to have it, just so it provides that bit of, evenness, so to speak. Because if one has Brobnar and the other doesn't, I feel like people are just going to be like, see ya. So, let's see what the cards are now. We got Alaka, Volcano, there we go, Kalfine, Ganger, Gron, Shade, Stiltkin, Flamethrower, Ragnarok, nice, Rock Hurling Giant, and then we move on to Shadows with Avinda, Breaker Hill, Javinda, Ronald, Trust No One, Umbra, Yahtzee, Chain Gang, Special Delivery, Subtle Chain, and then we go on to Untamed with a Deepwood Dryhead, Imprinted Murmook, Molfin, Mustic Murmook, Rusnar, Unsuspecting Prey, Instrument of Silence, Mab the Nab, Gravid Cycle, and lastly, Piranha Monkeys, my heart, my Keyforge Spirit Animal. Okay. This is actually a cool deck, I will say. This is a very cool deck. So what do we got here? Creature count, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 creatures. That is kind of wild, actually. 27 creatures is very wild. Yeah, super wild. And how many pips we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pips, so that's not a lot. This deck does seem kind of interesting, though, even though it's lacking a little things. There are the rest of the pips. So, what do I like about this? Well, Gravid Cycle is neat because of just different things in here. Now, okay, I gotta go here because Ragnarok. I'm actually watching Vikings right now on the BoobTube, and I find that seeing this is really cool, the Viking theme. I would like to see more Viking theme, actually, in Brobnar, because giants, I believe, are a Scandinavian sort of folklore thing. So yeah, that'd be cool. So Ragnarok, I'm really not familiar with this card. I don't even know how many decks have with this. For the remainder of the turn, whenever creatures cannot reap, and you gain 1 whenever a friendly creature fights. At the end of your turn, destroy each creature. That's very interesting. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's very interesting. Okay. So this is a board-based deck. So Ragnarok is a great board wipe. Whoops. Yeah, Ragnarok is actually a really nice board wipe. So that's a board wipe there. We got Volcano. So the board clearing is really nice in this deck. That's really cool. So much board control. What do I like in here? So I like the double Mabs because of the pips, and there's low pips and they're creatures, so that's kind of cool. The Gravid Cycle is really nice to set up your next turn, something you want. The double Mermooks for key cost is great, and the imprinted Mermook to offset that for yourself is very nice. Obviously, the subtle chains are really cool. The subtle chain, and the chain gang I really like. Yahtzee, like hold on a second, let me see this. So Avinda doesn't. So this creates stealing capabilities. This has stealing. This has stealing. This has stealing. There's a steal. This has steal. That's kind of wild. Almost all of Shadows does stealing. So I imagine there's high board control, high Ember control in this deck. The stats you see, I do not know just yet because I haven't analyzed. I love Rock Hurling Giant. Just because maybe I don't want to Ragnarok. But probably, I mean, yeah, Ragnarok is freaking cool. The Stiltkin possibility with Ragnarok is neat. What else? Yeah, I like the Stiltkin Ragnarok because you can actually go Stiltkin and then throw a Ganger. So then you get a double fight, which is 2 Ember, which is really cool. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. You know what? Aside from the really high creature count, I'm very curious to see how this deck's going to play. You can have an insane board presence where maybe you don't want to use Ragnarok potentially. But having that as an out, I think, is just phenomenal. I actually really like this. I don't dislike any of these giant cards. Flamethrower is really nice. Yeah, I don't dislike any of these cards, so that's really cool. The cool thing as well, no, yeah, I just don't like any of these cards. I don't not like any of these cards. And then the Untamed, I think, and Brobnar are the 2 most least desired houses in Worlds Collide. And you know what? This has some cool Untamed. The card I'm really not a fan of in here is probably just Deepwood Druid. But it could be helpful. The Shadows is bombastic. So yeah, that's this deck. I think it is kind of special, actually. So even though it seems like it's not that great, I think it actually could be really good. Now let's see deck B here. What it has. Will it have... I'm curious if it can top that Brobnar, because as far as Brobnar goes, I'm not disappointed in that last one. That was pretty stellar. All right, let's see what we got here. So we got first another Alaka, Alaka's Brew. Irestaff, Stiltkin. Love me some Stiltkin. Warrior's Refrain, Gargantus Crapper. Oh, this is already worse. Ogopogo, Power Fire, Ragwarg. Oh, that is interesting. Mega Alaka. And then we on to this with a Buzzle, Festering Touch, Harbinger of Doom, Infernus, Malison, Misery Exploit, Not Finished With You, EE on the Fringes, Poltergeist, Sinestra. Ooh. And then on to Dinos with Legatus Raptor, Phalanx Strike, Ludo, Gallum, Tricerian, Stenoponus, Praco, Laredo, Regrettable Meteor, Tribune Pompatus, okay. And then lastly we have Imperial Road. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So we got here creatures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 creatures, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pips. That's a very, very nice ratio. Now, what do I like about this deck? They're the rest of stats. Well, dinos, first of all, seem pretty bonkers. The Legatus Raptor, Phalanx Strike, Tribune Pompatus. This is probably going to be a dead card depending on when it comes. The Aredo Hisaro with the Centurion Stenoponus and Tribune Pompatus, those are going to be the targets to go in between that just to really make it hard to deal with those. And then having the Ember control, warding and taunt, protecting your Ember, the double Phalanx Strike, all good stuff. Then the Poltergeist. So here the Not Finished With You I think is going to be a dino play, 100%. 100%. I like the EE on the fringes, especially if you get if it manages to survive and you get a Phalanx Strike, you can put some Ember on it, and then increase EE's power, which is kind of cool. The Misery Exploit works really well with the Festering Touches right into it, but also the Ragwargs. These actually are going to be, I think, the most interesting thing to consider within this deck, but there's a lot of ways to do damage here. Unfortunately, the Warriors Refrains may end up being discards. I think they may be harder to play. Let's go back to Dis though. Yeah, so I think the Misery Exploits have potential. If not, EE's always there. I wish this had some archiving though, to be very honest. Infernus obviously great. Harbinger is nice for board wipe. Buzzles are really good just to thin your deck out. Maybe some of my Brobnar creatures. So I'm not trying to be calling Brobnar that much, although there is a lot of Ember in Brobnar now that I look at it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like almost half the Embers in Brobnar, which is kind of cool in a way. The Warriors Refrain though, like, I mean, how many creatures do I have below 3? 3 or more. 1, that won't be 1. 2, that may not stay that long. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, not too bad actually, not too bad. And then obviously Ire Staff can help counter that, same with Alaka's Brew. So there's some ways I think that you can have workarounds for the Warriors Refrain. So I take back, I think they're actually pretty decent. Power of Fire is going to be handy, I think, in this deck because the Ember control is not huge. You just have a Raider. Actually, you know what? You have a little bit in every house, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not mad at this Brobnar at all. I think the Gargantus Crapper is obviously one I don't much care for, but that's fine. Yeah, the Ragwarg though, this is interesting. I think once I get Pompatus out, this becomes a lot more valuable for me. Because, I mean, my opponent's basically reaping and almost destroying most of their creatures. It's kind of cool. Well, it's the first creature, right? So that's still a thing. You have to be really tricky or careful with it. But it provides some really interesting lines of play. So I'm excited for that disruption. Because I think that counts as board control and disruption in a way. Because your opponent can't necessarily always go through with the things they want. And like I said, Stillkin is just a fave for me. Yeah, really interesting dinos. The Dis is kind of average, but not really. It's got tricks. This is an interesting deck. These are actually both really interesting decks. Which one would you choose, and why? And did I miss anything? And so let's get to the point of the show. Here is the winner of this week. Congratulations. Which deck do you want? Let me know. Hit me up. Tell me which deck you want is yours now because you get the choice. They're both actually, I think, provide very interesting options. If I was to choose between the two, I think this deck has some really interesting lines of play with everything that's in it. I do think this deck will be stronger, but I think if these two decks went against one another, this one would win because that board control is just bananas. And so even with Tribune Pompatus being out there, this is just going to be able to like get that gone, get all the Ember. The only thing is Ludo being in control of it. One thing I do like about this deck is having the double Phalanx Strike, with Ludo because I can just pop my own creatures, which will actually be kind of hard with Tribune Pompadour. So, yeah, Regrettable Meteor when you have a ton of Ember out on the board. Like if you start getting tons of Ember on your creatures, you may have to just take an L and allow all your dinos to die so that Ember is not able to be taken because they could possibly just kill Ludo and get it. That's the one thing I think. So congrats again, and let me know your thoughts on this. And as always, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.